What is up, RotoGrinders? This is TJ Zwarich, TJ_Zwarich5 on Twitter, ready to talk about this 5 games on Draftkings, 4 games on Fanduel, maybe dropping even a little lower MLB slate, joined by my morning grind last night, morning grind tonight, and GrindersLive buddy, Tasteful Tides, Tim Buell. How you doing?
I know we're going for the trifecta, TJ. Yeah, we have to break down the slate again. Yeah, I'm doing well. Getting ready for a little hurricane action. Supposed to land in my driveway sometime on Saturday. It might just be a tropical storm, but it's still going to be pretty nasty where I live on Saturday.
Do you have any? I know we talked about this a little bit on the morning grind, so I know you're gonna be safe. But do you have any NFL DFS plans for no Wi-Fi, no power? Are you just gonna be? Do you got some portable chargers and you're gonna be relying on your phone?
I've thought about that exact same thing, TJ. I'm like, how am I not going to be able to play week 2? Like, is this really going to happen to me? And I'm not really sure what I'm going to do because I have a fancy generator with a Wi-Fi enabler, but sometimes that can be a little bit hit or miss. So I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure what's going to happen, but I imagine I'm going to be without power for a few days.
We got a lot of time for shenanigans today if we want them, because it's, like I said, a small slate, shortened show, but still an hour before the crunch time crew comes in. And it's going to be tough to talk about these games when we might lose the Coors game. The Yankees and Red Sox game already isn't on FanDuel. So if you guys want to talk about NFL, you got questions for the showdown slate, questions for week 1, questions about what we're having for supper, get them in. And we'll answer them. Make sure you're hitting the like button. We'll get some Spidey bombs and some tasty taters for the people as well. Ooh, gotta hit mute on the laptop. But Tim, what about you? Are you playing any showdown tonight?
Oh, definitely. That might be my only football action of the entire week. So I'm definitely playing showdown this evening. I think it's gonna be a really good game. I think the Eagles win, but I think it'll be a strong game.
How are you kind of building today? Who are your priorities for the slate? Do you think are Eagles going to cover, or is it going to stay tighter than that?
I don't want anyone to follow me necessarily on a sports bet, but I think I would take the Vikings with the spread. That's just my lean. And then I think I would lean my favorite captain as Justin Jefferson. That's kind of like where I'm starting.
There you go, Jefferson. Andrew Martinez asked who your captain is, and so I'm guessing it's Jefferson. I'm going in my main lineup today. Hurts is my captain, but most of my builds are kind of Eagles domination stacks where I got one team with an Eagles defense captain. I got a DeAndre Swift captain, a Rashad Penny captain, a Boston Scott captain. And so I'm thinking the Eagles are going to run away with this one. And I like all 3 of their running backs today. Oh,
I love Izzy in chat being like, the Vikings O-line is a disaster. Nobody watched the Bucs game. Like, I hear what you're saying for sure. But it's, I agree with both of those statements, but it's still like, I think they're just going to feed Jefferson the ball, and, he's definitely going to be my primary captain.
Baseball, we got to talk about that as well. 5 games on DraftKings. We got potential weather on in Coors, the Giants at Coors. The Giants are projecting as the number 1 offense on the slate, but also Roth has this as orange in his weather report right now. I'll read what he's got. We might get an update before he comes on for crunch time, but it says, I thought we had a decent shot of getting an early postponement here, and it's still not impossible, but the lack of postponement thus far has been putting this game at orange. Late start is nearly a lock. Postponement is still possible. I don't have a strong take here, and likely won't by lock either, as we'll still be 90 minutes from first pitch. If anything becomes clear or models start trending wetter or drier, I will update things. So we got a lot of rain in Coors. It might not play. Maybe that's the way you win some tournaments tonight, is maybe that ends up getting really low ownership because of the bad weather, and you end up getting the top stack on the slate at low ownership. So we're going to have to wait and see what Roth says when he joins us for crunch time. But let's kind of give me your general overview of this slate before we get into things.
Yeah, so Nathan Eovaldi is completely unplayable. Just so everybody knows, like, he's 9,800 on DK. We have him projected for 62 pitches. I think that's a fair projection for pitches, but that's way too expensive for a guy who's only going to throw 60 pitches. So he's an immediate cross off, even in 150 settings. Kevin Gausman obviously is like the top option, but he's really expensive on DraftKings. He's 11,000. He's a little bit more accessible on FanDuel. Definitely the clear SB1 on FanDuel. On DK at 11K, you are giving up a little bit of opportunity cost with your bats, but I still think that he's the clear raw point option. So he's my SB1. I wanted to be getting to Logan Webb. He was my favorite SB2 on the slate. But with this weather and with this game being a full hour or a full hour and a half after lock, makes things really tricky. So, it's either going to have to be Bradish or Maeda. I'd say take the savings and go with Maeda. And then maybe a little pinch of Clark Schmidt tournaments. But that's about it. There's only so many options that you could go to. I don't think this is a very good matchup for Savali.
Let me stop you because we just wanted the general overview, Tim. We got to slow this down.
Mm-hmm.
We got to spend at least 15 more minutes talking about these pitchers. So we got to add some suspense. We can't give all the takes right off the bat. Otherwise, we're going to run out of things to talk about. Shout out to Yao Pete in chat. I appreciate the compliment. 18 likes away from Spidey Bum #1. What do you say, Tim? Are you going to have a tater ready and 18 likes?
I'll do a tater and 18 likes.
I feel like kind of what I would do. Let's talk about the Coors game for a second. And how many lineups are you playing for tonight's slate? Is it just the one?
Just the one, yeah. And I'm not playing cash on the slate because this slate's just completely pointless for cash. So I'm going to be looking to get a little bit contrarian, more contrarian than I normally would play.
Assuming we get no new updates on this weather, and it's just Roth says, yeah, it's going to be wet, and I don't know what they're going to do yet. It's going to be a late start, and maybe they'll play. Are you going to have any exposure to Coors in your lineup?
I really want to pitch Logan Webb, but I don't know if I can do it with one team. So probably not.
I feel like the way I would go about this is if I had 3 teams on this slate, I would have one that had Logan Webb at pitcher and was a full Giant stack, those two things together. And then the other 2 teams wouldn't have any exposure to that game whatsoever. And then if I was MMEing, I would make a player group that I'm only playing Logan Webb in Giant stacks. I probably wouldn't play any Colorado. And then I wouldn't play any Giants as one-offs either. I would only be using them as full 5-man stacks. If they play, great. I'm going to have a few of those stacks. If they don't, that's fine. They're not going to mess with any of those other lineups. They're just going to be the full stack lineups that get burnt. We got a great question here from Izzy in chat. Can we get Tim's pick for the Stanley Cup this season? Who do you think's winning the cup?
I got to look at some odds. I haven't looked at any Stanley Cup odds. I kind of want to lean the Hurricanes, but I'm not sure. I haven't looked at the odds yet.
Your heart's telling you the Hurricanes.
Yep.
My gut's telling me the Oilers, and I haven't looked at anyone's roster. The Oilers are just my favorite team. And so that's what my gut and my heart is telling me. Don't put any bets on that because it is probably almost for surely not going to happen. Michael Dompier in chat says people might think 12-game slates are tough. a 4-game slate with an hour of talking about it seems a lot tougher. Yeah, hosting the short slates are definitely a lot tougher than the big ones. It's like it depends though. Like a show like the Morning Grind, I love the small slates because like we finished in 25 minutes last night. But it's Grinders Live where we actually have to fill the specific time period. It's definitely easier to have more games, more to talk about. What would the entirety of your pool? Imagine you were going into MME streets today. What would the entirety of your pitching pool be? Would you still be just going tight and so you could get as many different combinations as possible with those top pitchers? Or would you be mixing in a few more people taking shots on a few bad pitchers as well?
I would keep my pitcher pool super tight on the slate. I have like the Boston team is a full bullpen situation likely, so they're crossed off. I'm not going to risk weather with Chase Anderson, so he's crossed off. I'm not going to pay $10K for Nathan Eovaldi, so he's gone. And then Jose Urena, I guess he would be like the one guy that you're purely gambling. But I think he's the worst pitcher in the major leagues, so I don't really have much interest in him. So I'd be really, I think if I'm even making like 20 teams, I have like 4 pitchers in my pool.
That's the same with me. I think my pool would be Gausman, Bradish, Webb, and Maeda. And then if I lose Webb, maybe I would throw in Savali. Just for a little bit of differentiation. When we're only down to 4 guys, like Savali could go 6 innings and strike out 3 and give out no runs, and that might be enough to be the best pitcher on the slate today, depending on how things go. So I'm with you there. It's probably just 4 guys, but like again, if you're running 100 to 150 lineups, maybe you could throw in Urena, close your eyes, hope for the best, and just say he is cheap. I get to build a little bit different of a lineup. Nobody's going to be playing him, and you just hope that every hard hit fly ball goes into somebody's gloves. Good point in chat there. I'm only playing Giants and Rockies on Fanduel after hours slate because if it gets postponed, you get your money back because it's only a 2-game slate. It's Minnesota and the White Sox, and then it's the Giants and the Rockies, and so they need to have a minimum of 2 games playing. And so if that game gets postponed, then you don't got to worry about it. They just give you your money right back. 11 likes away from Spidey Bomb number 1.
The other thing I wanted to bring up about this Giants Rocky situation is that they play tomorrow at 8:40. So this is an easy doubleheader spot.
That's a good point.
I'm just throwing that out there. This is a really, really easy doubleheader spot. So I'm I'm not expecting much from this game. I'm very worried about this game playing unless we get a really good upgrade in weather from Roth.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Hoping for the weather upgrade. Otherwise, it's going to be pretty difficult to feel confident about what are your weekend hurricane hiding plans consist of? What do you got cooking to try and pass the time?
I'm not really sure. I think we're gonna play a lot of card games as a family, and maybe read a book or 2, and we'll see. It's gonna be a weird life for like 3 or 4 days, I bet. So I'm actually, assuming nothing bad happens, I'm actually kind of looking forward to it. Like being like logged off of the internet for like the first time in many, many years. So
it's getting some peace and quiet, and until 20 minutes feels like it's been 2 hours and you're like, what the hell am I supposed to do with the rest of my day? So you guys got ideas for Tim, ways that he can pass the time this weekend if the power is going out? Drop them in chat. What can Tim do to pass the time? 5 likes away for Spidey Bomb number 1. Do you got a tater ready at 50? I forgot what you said before.
I'll have one ready. Just give me a second.
All right, let me look.
Derek says in the chat, booze and cards. I'm okay with that. I think that's a good plan.
Booze and card games. Try and like that's like when you almost kind of hope that you have like a good relationship with your neighbors. So it's like I need something to do after day 2 with no power. Hey, do you guys want to join this card game where our series is at 38 to 37 right now? We need to find a way to add somebody in here and switch it up.
We are the youngest people on our street by probably 40 years. So it's
so what you're saying is all of them will be ready to play cards.
Yes. I hope they know. I'll probably be playing some cribbage this weekend.
That's honestly perfect timing because all of them are used to going without the internet, and they all spend their time playing cards anyways. So you're going to be in good company, being able to do that one. Lots of gin rummy. Derek says in chat.
Yep.
John wants to know how do you make sure you have no fun while it's going to go on.
Right.
Andrew Martinez wants to know a baseball question. Do either of you like the Boston bats? I love the lefties on this slate. The Boston lefties going up against Clark Schmidt. He's got a big set of splits. I guess Schmidt would be somewhat viable in GPPs if you're playing a lot of lineups, just because there aren't many pitchers on this slate. But I would much rather go with the Boston bat side of things, particularly Devers, particularly Tristan Casas. And Tristan Casas you can find for plus 520 on FanDuel, and he is Spidey Bomb number 1. Going up against Clark Schmidt. Love those odds. Love this spot for him. So Spidey Bomb number 1, Tristan Casas plus 520 on FanDuel.
Yeah, and I'm going to go with my first tater of the show is Royce Lewis plus 440 on.
Wow, that was the second Spidey Bomb, and I was going to go with him first, but I was going to. But then because Andrew Martinez asked about the Red Sox, I was like, okay, I'll do Casas first, and then we'll go Royce Lewis second. You can get Lewis for plus 440 on FanDuel. I like those odds for him quite a bit today as well.
Which one? What'd you say?
Royce Lewis.
Oh yeah.
Plus 440.
I really like him.
Why Lewis today? What's got you picking him for a home run? Usually I would just let this slide, but we got 4 games to talk about.
So I mean, it's
all the reasons.
It's just Jose Urena. You know, it's like I just want to get the best possible bats I can against him, and that's what I'm gonna do. So it's just, you know, like I think that's reasonable odds for a strong power bat. Urena gives up hard contact to both sides of the plate. So I think that's a really, you know, strong odds for a power hitter.
Kevin Mingle wants to know where are the Spidey taters, and Royce Lewis right there. That's a Spidey tater because that's tasty.
Giants
number 1.
Giants Rockies postponed.
There it is. There it is. Giants Rockies postponed, so we don't got to worry about that anymore. Get it out of your pool. We're down to a 3-game slate on FanDuel, a 4-game slate on DraftKings. No more Logan Webb. Taking it back to pitchers. Now that we have no more Webb, we have Gausman, Bradish, Maeda. These are the clear top 3 options today. If you were playing, now you're obviously just considering between those 3 for your one single lineup, but how many lineups would you have to play to add in Aaron Savali? How many lineups would you have to play to add in Clark Schmidt? And how many lineups would you have to play to add in Jose Urena?
Oh, I don't really want any Jose Urena, to be honest with you. I don't even know. Like, if I was playing 150, I don't even know if I would play him just because I love the Twins so much. I would want to be so overweight Minnesota. But now losing Webb, that's going to bring up Savali in your portfolio. You know, like it's going to bring up Schmidt, definitely. I think you can play Savali and Schmidt in a 20 max setting. I still wouldn't play them like in a 3 max. But it's you know, in my eyes, you've taken the second best pitcher on the slate off the board. So now this kind of changes everything.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It makes things a lot tougher. I think I would probably have to play at least, maybe 20 lineups. 20 is where I think I'd probably start looking at Savali, Schmidt, and Urena. But other than that, it would, but still, it would probably just be one each. It'd be one each that I would hand build. And then I'd tell the optimizer, look, I'm only interested in playing Gaussman, Bradish, Maeda today. Please build me everything that you can with those combos, because everything else is just no can do today. It's just disgusting. It's a lot of the time it's guys that won't even get more than 20 pitches. But if I guess the only thing you could kind of, and like this isn't me touting Urena, it's just trying to fill the time. If you were to play him, we do have bats on this slate like Aaron Judge, Rafael Devers, Luis Robert, who's probably going to be super low owned because everyone's going to have to play Maeda. Corey Seager, who's going to be super low owned because everybody's going to play Gaussman. Gunnar Henderson, expensive bats here that are coming in low owned that I guess if you want to take that shot and just say everyone's going to fail. Urena's going to have 7 points today, but that's going to be enough because nobody's going to do that well. And you're going to have all the top bats on the slate. Maybe that is a somewhat slightly reasonable strategy on a 4-game slate.
I guess, yeah. I mean, if he gets you 10, that's probably fine. He has no strikeout ability and he has very poor control. So he's just a recipe for disaster. I don't know.
Because like Gaussman today, he's pricey. Not that it really matters. You can find ways to make him work with these cheap bats. We got nobody to pay up for in Coors. But Gaussman is playing the Texas Rangers. It's not like this is a guaranteed smash spot for him. You got a team with a decent strikeout rate. You know, they got Carter, Duran, Mitch Garver, guys that in there that strike out a little bit. But the top of this lineup, very low strikeouts, lots of power. It's not unreasonable that he could just fail. I'm trying to just give some reasons for if you want to fade the chalk, because Gaussman, Bradish, Maeda, they're the top 3 options by so far. But I do think if you're playing something large field, pretty low stakes, it's not so crazy to just say, well, they're going to fail. I'm going to play somebody random because it lets me pay up for bats.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a terrible argument. I mean, can you play 4K Nick Robertson and hope he pitches 2 innings?
I guess maybe. I don't know. No. Here's the why no, because you don't need to. There's nothing that, like, unless you're saying that like those 2 innings he'll be better than Jose Urena,
right.
or
right. Like
Clark
what if
Schmidt?
what if he gets you like 9 points?
I guess so. On a slate like this, you really can do anything, I guess, but it almost feels like you brought up earlier, I'm definitely not playing cash on a slate like this. But it almost kind of feels like, even though it's small and it's disgusting, maybe this would be one of the easiest possible cash slates because there's just like something clear to do everywhere because there's like 2 good spots and no other good spots.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts there? What was your reasoning behind not mixing in any cash lineups today?
I mean, I wanted to play Webb. There he goes, and now I think it's just going to be so clear, like what the chalk build is. Only a 4-game slate. The lobby contests for cash this time of year, especially on a football night, are really, really thin. So it's just like the money I'm going to put down on baseball today is just going to be in single entries. That's it. Like normally I'd play like 30% cash games, but today I'm not going to do it. I'm just going to play just single entry.
I'm realizing just now that because I'm subbing in for Dean, as the people in chat are saying, where's Dean? Well, Dean did not have the fish. Dean's stomach is fine now, but the problem is he had to bring a plumber in because his stomach was not fine before. He did have the fish previously and plugged the toilet, caused some flooding, flooding in his house, had to bring the plumber in. Plumber is now there fixing Dean's flooding toilet water house. And that's why he's unable to be here. But because he's unable to be here,
I think Dean just didn't want to do the show.
Dean looked at the slate and was like, "No."
Yeah, I
no
think
chance.
Dean just looked at the slate and he was like, "I'm done. I'm done." So, I mean, I was just talking to him, and then I got a message from you saying Dean's out. So I think Dean's completely fine, and just felt like a day off. That's what I'm thinking.
So what you're saying is it might not even be any of the reasons. It might just be you. You were talking to Dean, and then he bailed. So, like, what did you say to piss him off?
A lot of things, but that's typical though. That's day to day with Dean.
That's true. You're absolutely right. Let's see. We do thankfully though have some NFL football again as well. So this boring slate of baseball isn't the only thing we can do. And the NFL, it's here. It's saving us tonight, and we're more than ready with our team of experts and suite of tools. Let RG handle the legwork so you can work less, win more this NFL season. Get access to everything we have to offer at special discount available only to those without an RG subscription. And you can get a full season subscription for $50 off at a limited time only price of $375. This sale will end tonight. You only have a few hours left to do this. So if you are not a RotoGrinders member, get that, go and use that discount code tonight. It's a great deal for the full season of NFL. I'm excited to play this weekend. I'm going to be out of town. Tim, you're going to be without power. I'm going to be out of town. That's why we got to grind these terrible MLB small slates, just the two of us with no help, because we're gone this weekend, and so we keep getting these ones thrown at us because everybody else is going to be picking up our slack while we're gone. But you got a little bit more time. Get the NFL stuff in. Have you looked ahead at this weekend's NFL at all yet? Because I've made my mock teams so far. They absolutely could change, but looking at injury news, things like it doesn't look like Austin Eckler is going to play. It doesn't look like Aaron Jones is going to play. It allows me to kind of have a somewhat of an idea of what I wanted to do. Have you started looking at anything yet?
For this Sunday?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I've just been preparing my house for being without power for a few days, and, making sure that we have all the supplies that we need, and also I don't want to like fall in love with a stack and then not be able to play and have that stack be the nuts, So I'm just gonna wait and try to get as much content as I can from RG, and then if I can play Sunday, I'll play. But I don't know.
Yeah, well, I hear you. Everything you're saying is smart. It's correct. It's the logical, smart thing to do. But what about when Sunday comes, you got just enough Wi-Fi and power to build some lineups, but not enough to do the research? What then? Are you just going to throw some teams in willy-nilly? Because you're going to need the entertainment.
Yeah, I'm probably just going to push buttons. That's probably what I'm going to do.
We got Scott Davies in chat asking tonight's best NFL cheap FanDuel punt option. I just pulled up my lineup HQ for that one. And personally, for me, I'd say optimally your best cheap punt option at 7K is probably KJ Osborne and Rashad Penny. And then if you want to get a little different, I like Boston Scott today at just $500 more.
I do like Boston Scott today.
We got, after we're done for Grinders Live this evening, we have immediately after us the Crunch Time crew coming in. I'm looking at the wrong month schedule, but we got the Crunch Time crew coming in. It's Roth, it's Cheese, it's Cards, and then you got Head Chopper and Kyle Murray taking you up to NFL Lock. That starting at 7:40 Eastern Time for the 40 minutes up to Lock. We got a BVP question, and I don't know if this is BVP or just Jose Urena being horrific, but Polanco is 7 for 7 against Jose Urena his career. Is that anything? Do we got to lock in Polanco tonight?
I mean, I was kind of feeling like locking in Polanco anyway, and I didn't even know that. So, yeah, I don't care about BVP. I'm the anti-head chopper, but I'm definitely the pro stack against Urena guy. So, yeah, lock in Polanco. I don't care that he's 7 for 7 against him.
Steve put up a poll in the YouTube chat, so give us an answer on that one. Who you got, Eagles -7 or Vikings +7? If it is that 7 number, I don't necessarily love the bet so much, but if you can get 6.5, I do like the Eagles on that. We're 32 legs away from the second Spidey Bomb and Tater, so get those likes up so we can get you some more home run calls. Tim, before we transition over to talking about some stacks and some bats, give me the overview of pitching, the summary for those who tune in late.
Yeah, so definitely Kevin Gausman is your safest option on both sites. I would say Maeda would be the most optimal SP2. I think you could even punt with him on Fanduel if you wanted to. We have lost the Giants-Colorado game, so the Giants bats are not in play. Logan Webb is no longer in play. So it's Gausman for me, then Maeda, and then I think it's sprinkling some, make sure to have some Bradish in tournaments. Schmidt also, and Savali is now in play too. And in case you hadn't heard, Nathan Eovaldi, he's coming back from injury. He's only going to be pitching around 60 pitches, and he's close to 10,000, so he is firmly out of play.
Is he on a 3-game slate? What if you do it and he's the only pitcher that doesn't give up a run today?
So let's say,
for what it's worth, I agree with you. I'm just playing a little bit of devil's
but let's
advocate.
talk about it. He goes 4 innings. Let's say he goes 4 innings, gets you 12 points. If you lock him in and you lock in, let's say, Maeda, that leaves you 4K per bat. You could still get to Boston. You could still get to Minnesota. You'd really have to be banking on Gausman failing and Bradish failing. But say Eovaldi gets you 12 DK points. I don't know. I guess maybe it's possible that he's in the optimal.
Maybe I would hand build one lineup with Nathan Eovaldi if I was making 150 lineups, but I think that was about it. If you'll get your questions in about absolutely anything, you want baseball, you want football, you want anything in life. I'm going to be doing a show later this evening about episode 5 of Ahsoka, which was absolutely wild and amazing and perfect for all things Star Wars. They just released new trailers and looks at the new Spider-Man 2 video game, the new Avatar video game. We got movie trailers and things coming out. There was a new Aquaman trailer today. You guys want to talk about that? Just let me know. But if not, let's start talking about some stacks. We did have a question.
Yeah.
What's that?
Mr. Richard had a question. Minnesota will be super chalk on DK. I'm willing to play more Boston and New York bats than Minnesota. Thoughts on that? Yeah. Go for it. Go for it. I mean, this slate is so, you can really do whatever you want. Minnesota's going to be the clear, overwhelming chalk now that we've lost San Francisco. If you want to fade that and go with a little bit more Boston, New York, I say go for it. I mean, I think that's completely fine.
I agree with you. Yeah, that was the one that I was going to pull up too, because I think Minnesota is probably my number 1, Boston's probably my number 2, and then New York is probably my number 3 stack today. With Baltimore 4, Toronto 5, I think that's probably how I'd be ranking them today. How about you?
Yeah, Minnesota definitely 1. Boston 2. Then Baltimore 3, and then Toronto 4, I guess. That's probably what I'd do.
The one I didn't mention them, but I think the one that actually might interest me the most from a tournament standpoint is the White Sox. Playing Bradish with Gaussman, and the White Sox are super cheap, so you can do that. And you play Luis Robert, who is maybe my favorite tournament bat on the slate at sub 10% ownership on a small slate in a beautiful matchup. Maeda's reverse splitsy for power, and Robert has a great ISO against righties. Like, this is a phenomenal spot against Maeda for him. Mix in some Jimenez, some Moncada, some Vaughn, a little bit of Corey Lee at catcher, maybe Gavin Sheets. I like this team in tournaments at incredibly low ownership against Maeda.
Yeah, I think that's a really strong play for large field tournaments. I have no issue with that at all.
Something like Gaussman and Bradish at pitcher, White Sox full stack, mini stack the Twins in the same game, and you get your Discord special game stacks, since people love to get the game stacks in. But might as well just check if there is any good weather in that in Chicago today, because obviously that is a good park upgrade from Minnesota going into Guaranteed Rate Field, one of the better home run parks in baseball. Don't see anything on it in the weather page. Let's see that we got anything in Weather Edge. The winds are blowing in Baltimore today, so that's looking like it might slightly hurt the game. The game in Baltimore, a minus 16% home runs in 35 games with matching conditions so far, minus 11% for runs, minus 11% for ERA. So bump to pitchers, downside to bats. It's looking pretty close to normal in Boston. In Chicago, winds are blowing in, but it's a very, very small wind, so pretty close to normal conditions there as well. So now that the one game is postponed, we don't really have to worry about weather at all. In your one lineup, you like Minnesota? How are you kind of looking to do things? Is it going to be a 4-4, 5-3? How much Minnesota are you going to get? And then who's going to be your secondary team?
Yes, it really kind of depends on if I want to pitch Maeda or not, and maybe like go Gaussman. Like, I'm trying to think of ways to get different single entry. Like, I want to play Minnesota. Like, I want to play Gaussman, but that's just like a ton of ownership. But there's only so many ways to get different. So I'm thinking maybe I go Gaussman, Bradish, and then throw in a couple White Sox, like you said, and do just like a game stack of White Sox and Minnesota. So get a little leverage off of Maeda, get a little leverage with the White Sox, and then stack my Twins also. Like, that's one way that I'm kind of thinking right now. Maeda is obviously great for the slate, but he doesn't have like a huge leash. So if he struggles at all, like, he's not gonna win you a tournament. So I might go like Bradish, Gaussman, some cheap White Sox, and then fill it out with my twin stack. That might be the way I go.
Somebody asking in chat, Jake Swales, what about Savali? And Jose Reyes asking about him as well. Savali is in play, especially now that we have lost Logan Webb. He's not, I think we both kind of have him ranked 4th of the top pitching options today. But there's definitely nothing wrong with that. As Jake Swales points out in chat, his strikeout rate has increased over the last month, but this is a low-K Baltimore team, and Savali's also given up a lot of power this year to left-handed bats, a 52% hard hit rate, and he's going to face 7 lefties that are mostly low strikeout today on Baltimore. So definitely viable because it's a terrible pitching slate and terrible slate in general, but probably falls in number 4 behind those other 3 guys. 20 likes away for the next Spidey Bomb and Tater. 20 minutes before the next show starts with the Crunch Time crew coming in. Steve, hop in here, buddy. Hop in for me. Join the screen. Join the chat. What do you like today for tonight's NFL game?
So
tell me about your first touchdown score thing.
Yeah, so I took advantage of the Fanduel, the Draftkings promotion, the up 7 early win. So I threw it on the Vikings at the plus 200. You got some value there. Just want Justin Jefferson to score the first touchdown of the game, and it would be huge. 2 bets knocked out at once.
Most of my DFS lineups tonight are Philly domination stacks with Justin Jefferson as the one run back. So we can cheer for the same thing here. Minnesota, go to Jefferson early, and then Philly just takes it the rest of the game.
I mean, I'm with you on that. I do think, and Tim, I think, said earlier too, I do think Philly's going to win. I'm just hoping maybe the Vikings can get up ahead early, but it's tough. We'll see.
Next question for you, Steve, from Imposter Head Chopper in chat. Are taco sandwiches?
No. I feel like tacos are just tacos.
Tacos are tacos. I agree.
And I felt like hot dogs were just hot dogs too, but producer Rob told me I was wrong.
Well, producer Rob is crazy sometimes. I mean, great guy, but a little crazy. He has some hot takes. But I think a hot dog is just a hot dog. A taco is just a taco.
I want to hear Tim's thoughts on this too.
Yeah, Tim, what are your thoughts on taco game?
Is a taco a sandwich?
Yeah.
No, absolutely not. There's
good.
No.
Is a hot dog a sandwich?
No.
All right, beautiful.
What kind of questions are these? That's ridiculous. That's no.
That's you're answered on that, Tim. Your answer on that when you just laughed. That reminded me of, I just saw a clip of someone asked Sierra, who is of course like pop R&B superstar. She's married to Russell Wilson. Somebody was, and her ex and the father of her child is the rapper Future. And so a very different polar opposite for those who don't know who these people are. The rapper Future is kind of the picture, like the picture of your toxic rapper. And then some great music though. And then you got Russell Wilson, who is just the Russell Wilsoniest guy in the NFL, we'll say. And they asked her, what's co-parenting like with your ex? Does that happen at all? And she just burst out laughing and didn't give an answer, but just like couldn't contain her laughter as soon as that was asked. And that was your response. That's what that reminded me of. But rank your top 5 stacks for me in order, Tim. I know we got Minnesota 1, but what's the exact order for you after that?
Top 5, you said.
Yeah.
Minnesota, Boston, Baltimore, New York, Toronto.
And I think you brought up a really good point in chat to Mr. Richard, that he was saying like he's getting a lot of organic Minnesota and White Sox stacks, but that's probably because shortstop quite weak today, and Tim Anderson is one of the only cheap options. I think you just play Rafaela as opposed to Tim Anderson in there, and Anderson's the only somewhat chalky White Sox player today just because of his price. And so I do definitely think he'd be one of the ones I'd wanted to leave out if I was.
Yeah, I really don't want to play a chalky White Sox guy. So
especially one that only has 1 home run this year.
Yeah, I'm glad Mr. Richard brought that up in the chat. I'm glad that we had that conversation, because if I'm going to try and get different with the White Sox, I have to make sure that I am getting different, in fact, and not playing a chalk Tim Anderson. I do not want to do that.
Trivia question. There is only one type of soda, pop, whatever you call it, where you live, that I like. Carbonated drink. There's only one kind that I really enjoy drinking. It's been in the screen for the entire show until I just put it out. Tim, what is the one kind of soda pop that I like to drink?
And you just had it on the screen?
I had it on the screen the entirety of this show until just now.
I haven't been watching the screen at all, so I have no idea. Is it a Sprite?
It is not a Sprite. That was Tim's guess in chat as well. The chat's paying attention. It's Canada Dry ginger ale. Any ginger ale, really. I love a nice ginger ale.
That seems a little cliche, TJ, for you to be drinking Canada Dry. I mean, seems a little bit absurd.
It's made from real ginger, and so it just settles that stomach real nice. It's It's refreshing. I feel like most soda, most pop, I call it pop. I'm just calling it soda for the sake of you Americans. But most of these things, I almost feel like gross afterwards, almost like heavy from all the sugar. But a nice ginger ale, it's refreshing.
I'm more of a Schweppes guy.
That's fair. I respect the Schweppes as well. I have no problems with Schweppes. I'll have a nice Schweppes if that's what's available for me. Izzy says he can't stand ginger ale. I think that's crazy. Apparently in Ohio and in Michigan, they call it pop. We call it pop here in Canada too. You say pop or you say soda?
Soda.
Weird. What about you, Steve? Hop back in. Pop or soda?
Soda.
Steve, are you in New York?
No, I'm in Nashville.
You're in Nashville.
Born and raised in New York, though.
RotoGrinders headquarters, of course. Well, I'm headed to New York in about 3 weeks, so I'll say hello to your family for you.
Sounds good. Check out the BC headquarters too. New York office.
Will do. Maybe I will try and have to swing by there while I'm going, because I'm going to New York Comic Con. So maybe while I'm there, I'll have to try and swing by. 11 likes away for Spidey Bomb and Tater number 2. We are just over 10 minutes away from the Crunch Time crew joining. Hopefully they want to come in just a little bit earlier so that they can save us a little bit. Let's talk some individual bats. I mean, why the heck not, Tim? Let's go position by position and give our little pre-take for when the Crunch Time crew gets here. Here's the game. You're allowed to give one play at each position for cash, one game play for each position for tournaments. Your top cash play, your top tournament play, and you're not allowed to give any others at the other positions. We're just going to limit to one. So starting at catcher, who is your favorite cash and your favorite tournament play today?
For cash, it would be Christian Vasquez. For tournaments, it would be Adley Rushman.
I think both of those are probably correct answers. Geez, what an ugly position today. I think for me, I don't disagree, but I feel like my favorite for tournaments outside of that would maybe be these Texas guys. I don't think you even have to stack. I think you can just one-off, and somebody like Garver, or probably more so Jonah Heim, I think I'd be more interested in going to. As the guys, as my one-off here, that's who I'd want to roll with in the tournaments, and I do agree with you. Vasquez is probably the cash option, unless you just happen to have the salary. Then by all means, get up to Rutschman. First base, top cash play, top catcher or top cash play.
Alex Kirilloff for cash, and then Andrew Vaughn for tournaments. Like, that would be a really strong pivot in single entry. Like, Vaughn's going to be 3% owned versus Kirilloff's 20% owned. Like, that would be a way to get different with your White Sox stacks. Like, that's like, for me, what I'm going for.
I'm going to go, for me, cash, the Spidey Bum, Tristan Cassis. And then my favorite tournament guy at this position, I think, is actually going to be Ryan O'Hearn. Nice and cheap at first base. Second, top cash play, top tournament play.
Yeah, so Polanco is the top cash play. And then tournament would be Gleyber Torres.
I like the Torres call, bullpen game for Boston. Jimmy James in chat, why no love for the Yankee stacks? They look low owned. Yeah, I don't mind a Yankee stack whatsoever today. They are my third favorite stack behind Boston and Minnesota. I believe you had them 3 as well, Tim.
Yes. Yep.
I think Polanco is probably my top guy here, definitely for cash, and he would be my top for tournaments too, if I'm being honest. But Gleyber, I do love that low ownership on him today as well. I think that's a good call. Third base, favorite for cash, favorite for tournaments. This is kind of a flip of the coin. Is it Devers or is it Royce Lewis?
Yeah, it's very tough. I think it's Devers and cash, but it's really close between him and Lewis. I really like Lewis today. He's my tater, so I want to go with Lewis for cash and for tournaments.
Mab's asking how far is Eovaldi supposed to go? Why are we not playing the Blue Jays against one of the worst bullpens in the league? Because couple reasons. He's supposed to go about 60, and we are totally okay with playing the Blue Jays. They're both in the 5th or 6th top stack range for both of us, and they've just been really bad these past few games. Like they're getting blanked by the Rangers left, right, and center, and they're in this crucial playoff battle with them, and just not able to get anything done. So it's a bit of bias for me personally, but I definitely don't think there's anything wrong with the Jays. It's just Eovaldi's a good pitcher, and there are a few better options out there today. For third, I think it's Devers if you can afford him for cash, but if you just like your lineup way better with Royce Lewis, that's fine. If for some reason you everything else looks better with Royce Lewis, that's totally fine. And for tournaments, I think Gunnar Henderson would be the guy for me. What about short? I guess one more question. We got a question. So before we go over to short, what do you think about where did it go here? It just disappeared. Any love for Kevin Biggio tonight? 3,100. You can play him at third or outfield.
Yeah. The problem is, it's like I don't want to pay down at third, so I want to pay up, and I don't know. Like I don't really like him that much because I don't want to pay down at third, and I think there's a pretty high opportunity cost in the outfield, like there usually is. So I mean, I guess if you're stuck there with a Toronto stack, that's fine, but he's definitely not a guy I'm considering.
I think, yeah, if he lands in your lineup and you're playing some Toronto players, there's nothing bad about that with him batting 5th, but definitely not a top option for me. We are one like away from Spidey Bomb number 2, so let's get it out here. For me, it's going to a Minnesota player. He's batting 7th today, but it doesn't matter to me. He's got a lot of power, and he's facing a low strikeout guy like Urena. I love it. It is Matt Wallner, Spidey Bomb number 2, plus 370 on FanDuel. Who do you got for your second tater today, Tim?
I'm going Minnesota also, and that's Max Kepler, plus 420 on FanDuel.
And I'm going to give a final Spidey Bomb as well. One more ready to go for the people because Rafael Devers is plus 470 on FanDuel. That feels obvious, but Devers should not be plus 470 against Clark Schmidt. And so I love the idea of doing a Cassis Devers combo. Shout out to Chop. He's going to be on later tonight with Kyle Murray for the pre-lock show, but he likes to do his choppers knockers with 2 plays close together. And Cassis and Devers are going to be those guys for me today. I think they are both going to hit a home run. Shortstop today, Tim. One play. Who do you like for cash? One play. Who do you like for tournaments?
Yeah, so shortstop's really ugly. I think maybe for cash, you bite the bullet and you go Tim Anderson. But for GPPs, I don't really want to eat that kind of ownership. So maybe get different with like a Bo Bichette.
I think Volpe would be my cash guy today. And then Bo Bichette, I love that call. But Corey Seager, I think, is just the second best tournament play on the slate today behind Luis Robert in the outfield, who would be my one guy I'd go with in the outfield as my favorite tournament play. Who would be your one outfielder that you think has to be a lock in cash?
For cash, it's Max Kepler.
Yeah, 100%. I think Max Kepler. Robert, I just think is a phenomenal play today. Aaron Judge is another great option up there in cash. In tournaments. We have another question in chat about NFL Showdown tonight. Are any of you playing any players under 1K for the Showdown slate? I don't think I have a single player under 1K in any of my pools. Chandler, Penny, and Boston Scott, I think, would be the 3 cheapest I'd be looking to potentially go to. But, I mean, hey, if you wanted to play Josh Oliver or CJ Ham, there are crazier things that have happened. Olamide Zacchaeus, there are crazy things that have happened in Showdown. Michael Dompier asking, he's heard that It's been speculated Bo isn't running as hard because of an injury. Any insights or know-how there? I honestly don't know. I haven't been watching the Jays games recently, so I'm not too sure if that is a thing. But I mean, if they rush them back a little bit because they feel they need his bat right now to make playoffs, that probably wouldn't be the craziest thing ever. Steve, I know Roth isn't here yet, and I know it's early, but too bad they have to do it anyways. Let's bring cards and cheese in a little bit early because this has been a tough show to fill with only 4 games on DraftKings and 3 games on Fanduel. So Cheese, tell me, are you gonna play any NFL single game showdown tonight? Because we got an ugly baseball slate.
I absolutely am. Yeah, I learned several new names today, and I'm kind of like I kind of do NFL Showdown the way like my wife does the NCAA bracket. Like, that's a cool name. I'm playing that and like, absolutely, yes.
Who's your top captain play today?
Hawkinson, who I've actually heard of before today.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know who that is. That's why Cheese. Yeah.
Now I do also have that Oliver character because please, sir, I want some more, as they say.
As they say, yes, of course they do. They do say that indeed. How you feeling about the Browns being 1-0 after taking down the Bengals in their first week?
I almost feel sorry for anyone who had to watch me on Monday. That was such a dominant game. It's not like we beat them. It's like they weren't even in the game for 2 seconds. Like that was one of the most embarrassing things. If I was a Bengals fan, I would just go away and never come back. I mean, that's just good life advice in general, but that was incredible.
Cars, the Ravens have those lowly Bengals this week. Are you confident after etching out a win over the Patriots and then that was the Eagles.
The Texans,
yeah. But then are you confident after seeing the Browns just absolutely dismantle them?
I don't know, not really. The Ravens didn't look great. They're probably gonna be without 2 offensive linemen. Dobbins is out for the year, of course, but I've heard that running backs don't matter, so I guess that doesn't matter. But yeah, I don't know. The Bengals, I mean, you're going to see a better effort, obviously, out of the Bengals. Now, the question is, whether Burrow's healthy. And if you look at some of his, depth of target stuff, there are questions certainly about how back if he rushed himself back. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think last week makes me more confident. If anything, it makes me a little nervous because the Bengals are at home and they're going to want to, put that game aside. But it's better than watching my baseball team right now.
If I didn't know anything about football and weather, which I kind of don't, like, neither Watson nor Burrow got the ball anywhere near their target. And it was like weird and wet and rainy and cold. And like, I'm not sure that didn't have something to do it. And like the footing was off. So besides the fact that the Browns were just in his face the whole game, like, I think Burrow will be fine.
Cards, who do you got in the game tonight?
I think Minnesota's got a chance, really. I mean, I guess it depends on whether or not regular primetime Cousins shows up. I wouldn't pick them to win, but I would take Minnesota in the points.
What is regular primetime Cousins, if I don't know?
He loses every primetime game he plays.
Okay, so it's that's a bad thing.
Yeah, it's a bad thing, like 11 losses in a row or some. They might have won one somewhere along the line. But anyway, I actually posted a pick on scores and odds right before we came on the air. And I posted the under for the first half. So I think unders were 12-4 the first week. If you haven't seen Thursday night football, it's generally a bit of more of a mess on a short week. You see defenses ahead of offenses this time of year. You look at how all the top tier quarterbacks did last week. Burrow was terrible. Lamar was terrible. Mahomes wasn't great. Hurts wasn't very good last week. I mean, none of these guys are playing in the preseason nowadays. So you just see defenses ahead of offenses right now, and combine that with the short week. I mean, I just think you see at least a lower scoring start to the game. So that's my favorite bet of the night, under 24.5 first half points.
What about sorry, I just threw myself off as I accidentally responded to somebody in chat from the RotoGrinders account instead of my own account, and then I confused myself and forgot what I was going to talk about. But Roth it was almost confused as you looked when you saw Cheese and Cards already on here when you popped in. You weren't late.
Yeah,
It's
way to go,
just-
Roth.
We spent an hour talking about 3 games on FanDuel, 4 games on DraftKings, and it was a really tough thing to stretch out. So as soon as I saw anyone's face hop in, we just
Bring 'em
added
in.
them in immediately to add things
Yeah.
to talk about.
And he was a little late.
I was a minute and a half late for what it's worth. Yeah. Hey, but good to be here. And hey, look at a cute baby. Hey, baby. Hey, baby. Excited to talk a little bit of baseball. We got 3 games now. I think we had 4 games, and now we've lost 1. Is that correct?
Yeah,
We've
4
got so
on
much.
DraftKings, 3 on FanDuel.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, this is usually when Dean talks you guys out of here, but Dean's not here. So TJ, do you
Yeah,
wanna
I
do
was
that?
just gonna wait till I didn't want to cut you off, so I was just gonna
No.
see if you had anything else to go
I got
in there.
nothing.
But I mean, yeah, we've talked enough. I don't have much else to add. I got a Prize Picks article up on RotoGrinders Thursday Night Football Prize Picks predictions. You can check that one out for the football game. And without further ado, thanks, Tim.
Thank you, TJ.
And that'll do it for Grinders Live. Bringing on the Crunch Time crew. Good luck tonight, fellas.
Thank you. We appreciate it. Good stuff as always. And good luck to Tim. I guess I know he lives in Massachusetts I know he lives in New England somewhere. So hopefully he is safe and ready to rock with that storm. We're ready to rock because the one game that I was starting to get a little nervous they were going to try to play, and it was really going to tilt the hell out of me.
We were all nervous. It would have been such
Yeah.
a conundrum.
And the
I'm
problem
so-
is
game.
that would have been
Yeah.
a huge talking point. We could have let you go for 25 minutes because there's not a lot to talk about here. And that would have been such a nice thing to take some time and have Roth talk about the weather. And now we've got nothing.
Good, because I did not want to talk about it for 25 minutes. I thought all day they were going to postpone it. And then when they didn't, I started to get a little nervous. Oh, geez, are they really going to try to get this in? But then they did. Still plenty of time out there. So glad to see that. In case you missed it, the Colorado game is postponed. That just leaves us with a handful of games left. And I guess my question is, Cheese, were you building when you saw my orange red? Were you building thinking, all right, well, probably not going to get this game in?
Roth, I am so all in on whatever Roth says. If you in the musings this morning in the intro, I said Roth has it at orange red, and when I see that red, I'm out. I'm just playing. I didn't even mention it in the musings. I just said I'm not even going to waste my time or your time, and we're not building with it.
Woo, baby! I love it. I love
So
the
that
confidence.
means you also saved me 45 minutes of typing too. So
Great.
it was great.
Yeah, and then they, and then they didn't postpone for a few hours, and then I took the red back. I was like, maybe not. Are they going to try to play this? I don't know what the hell's going to happen. But all of that is irrelevant now because we got to figure out a new spot to target some bats. We will get to that in a bit, but first, let's welcome in two of the sharpest minds in the biz. I guess they've been hanging out already, but we got Dave Potts. Cheeseisgood. What up, Cheese?
Yeah, not much. It's definitely not much of a slate, and it's going to be weird. It's not every day you get Twins chalk. It's kind of just a weird little slate, but hey, we'll still figure something out.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. We got STL cards as well. What's happening, cards?
Not too much. Yeah, it's that time of year where Thursday, the MLB slates get a little smaller, the prize pools get a little smaller. Everybody focuses on football. It is what it is. The baseball contests take a little bit more of a back seat this time of year. So everybody's got the same slate though, and there's still, on DraftKings you can still win 25 grand tonight, which doesn't suck. Even if it's a football night. So we'll see if we can make some lemonade here.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. That's well said. All right. Let's go ahead and dive right into it here. I do have some sponsor things to read. We'll hold that off for just a minute. Cheese, you want to talk to me about what the starting pitcher situation is?
I sure do. On FanDuel, I have a three pitcher pool. I think it would be. It's viable if you wanted to, if you're 150 lineups and want to play Aaron Savali as well, that's fine. But basically, Gausman, Bradish, and Kenta Maeda are it. I do think the three of them will kind of split up ownership enough that I wouldn't use that as any sort of tiebreaker. If we can believe that Gausman is, 2 to 3 times Bradish. I don't actually think it'll be that much, but he'll be the popular one. I think I prefer Bradish anyway. He's just been really great recently. He's got the better matchup. If we get anything like, 40% Gaussman versus 15% Bradish, I would say all in Bradish personally. There's not much need to go cheap on FanDuel, but Maeda is there if you want him. But for the most part, it's just not that hard. Play one of those 10K guys, but that's my entire pool on FanDuel. On the DK side, honestly, that's still pretty darn close to my whole pool. I have like 2 lineups where I just wanted to goof around with every bat, and I played Jose Urena, and that's one of those you just hope that he gets you 5 points, and it's fine. Because otherwise you're paying 9K for like Savali and hoping to get 15 points, which is not really all that exciting either. The one thing I'll say is Maeda has really been kind of bad, and it's kind of weird chalk. It's just that it's such a small slate. Like there's nothing here. I think really the ideal play is just to do Gaussman Bradish and save a little on bats. So that's what I'm trying to do. But I would much rather overthink it on the hitting side and just play those 3 guys.
Okay. That's easy enough. Then we'll kick it over to Cards. Cards, what are you doing here pitcher-wise? Can you get different? Are you trying to get different? Or are you going to figure that out on the hitter side of things?
Yeah, there's not much else. Cheese did a great job of taking a 5 minutes to help us get to lock here. So I commend him on that. Because, if you look at the other options, so I agree that probably in that order, Gaussman, Bradish, Maeda for me, with Savali being number 4, that is my pool as well. Like Uvalde is simply not an option. They brought him back. He got shelled his first start back. Then he pitched better. 3 days later, they brought him back on short rest because his first return start was so short. And he only threw 47 pitches, 2 1/3 innings against Oakland. So you're not getting anywhere close. I mean, so they've gone 35, 47, maybe he gets to 60 pitches tonight. I think we've got him projected at like 62, 65, somewhere in there. It's just not worth the price tag. So he's basically just out. On DraftKings, you've got the Yankees and the Red Sox mixed in, but I don't really love either pitcher in that game. I don't like the way Schmidt matches up against Boston. Boston's using kind of their bullpen approach today. So just don't think you want to mess with that. Iranian not messing with that. And that's everyone. So yeah, it's just play the better pitchers. And, even on DK, my preferred combo is Gaussman and Bradish. I think you can make it work. There's plenty of cheap bats. So yeah, that's just the slate tonight.
Okay. Well, that's easy enough. I think we got to talk about some of the bats, some of the stacks first. We should note, make sure you're signing up. This show is sponsored by FanDuel. Sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed, plus $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube TV when you bet $5 on any Week 2 game. For new users in Arizona, Colorado, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kansas, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Tennessee, Virginia, West Virginia, and Wyoming. That's a lot of states. Terms and conditions do apply. Got to be 21 and up. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Some cool stuff there from our wonderful sponsor, FanDuel. We appreciate it. I like how they're mixing in the NFL.
By the way, when you read that, I think if anyone is from Wyoming and listening, I would just like to know about it.
Let us know. There's not. Yeah.
I'm just curious. This is one of those things. When you say Wyoming, I'm like, no, there's no way. But yeah. I mean, if
someone from Cheyenne, you never know.
I used to hang out in Cheyenne a little bit, but just say hello from Wyoming if you're here.
Please do. Just incredibly harsh weather. It's just so cold and so windy, just so brutally windy in the northern plains. But if you're there,
So you're setting the over/under at 0.5 individuals from Wyoming that are going to.
I think so.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's.
Do we have one
Wyoming.
If
you are a Wyomingite, let us know if you're a Wyomingite. All right. Hey, let's talk about some of the bats here. Cards, you get to lead us off in that category.
Joy, it's Twins chalk on DraftKings for sure, just because we've got one less game over there. They're facing a pitcher that has not had extended success in the majors, arguably ever, but certainly for at least the last 5 or 6 years. Their team total's the highest. But it's not an absolute, you've got to play a bunch of Twins in tournaments for me tonight, because this is a high strikeout offense. They're probably not going to strike out as much tonight, but it's still, there's a path to the Twins not breaking the slate. And now we don't have the Coors game on the slate. So there's just not a whole lot else. I think the Twins are the chalk. You play a few of them in cash games. In GPPs on Fanduel, every other team has a total of 4.2 runs or less. So it's basically just throwing darts. If you want to bank on Maeda kind of continuing to struggle a little bit, I don't hate the White Sox. Baltimore is probably the most complete offense, and it's not like Savale is a high strikeout guy. So, Baltimore would be fine. They'd probably be my favorite pivot away from the Twins tonight. When you add in DraftKings, it does at least get a little bit more interesting, because you've got the Yankees and the Red Sox game, which has a total of 9.5. So that is higher than all the other games on the slate. We do have some nice value in that game as well. And it is also, it's game 2 of a doubleheader. You saw, let's see, Boston used a couple of their decent bullpen guys. The bullpens weren't too heavily used in the first game, so that's probably not too much of a factor. But those games, with those two teams at Fenway, you never know when a shootout's going to break out. Not like either starter is dominant. So I do like the Red Sox and the Yankees on DraftKings, with a slight preference to Boston, but it's close.
Okay, great. Cheese, what are you doing stack wise? You with Minnesota and the chalk or the chalk?
Yeah. I kind of like what Card said. I don't think you just have to full stack them. Like, they are, even against a pitcher who strikes out as few guys as Urena, it's still kind of boom or busty. Like, you're just playing for home run here, home run there. That guy probably gets out. That guy probably strikes out. That guy hits a home run. Mm-hmm. So I think you're fine to mini stack them or just pick out a couple here and there. But so the problem with these small slates is, yeah, there's chalk, but everything is owned. Like, you think you're being so sneaky with the Rangers stack, but the Rangers end up 12% owned. Like, on a 10-game slate, you'd get 1% owned Rangers, and that's amazing. But on a 3 or 4 game slate, like, there's no such thing as sneaky. You still have a bunch of people doing 150 lineups that play 25 stacks of everybody on this slate. It's like, you're really not getting sneaky with anything, except maybe not stacking or not spending your salary. So I would lean those 2 ways and worry less about what player or team is less chalky, and just say, well, if you do a bunch of mini stacks or leave $2,500 on the table, that's probably how you're different.
Okay, that makes sense.
Something interesting. I just looked up the percentage of the U.S. population that is from Wyoming, and multiplied that by the number of people we have watching the show.
I mean, it's under 0.5.
It is 0.44.
Okay, it's close.
Wyoming, 0.17% of the U.S. population, which is that's not a lot.
No one's saying that. It would be really bizarre now if there was someone from Wyoming listening. There's like, I got to keep quiet. I don't want to.
Yeah, I feel too weird at this point. No, I wouldn't even believe them if they said it. Also, I think your math is wrong. There's no way, if the percentage is that low, that the odds of someone being here is almost 0.5%. Am I doing the math wrong?
Yeah, pretty sure you are.
Okay, all right. Well, I probably shouldn't ask the tax guy if he's doing the math wrong. I feel like maybe I should pick that,
because the percentage 0.17% would be out of 100. And no, I think I'm doing the math wrong. I think you're right. I think I forgot the all right. H&R Block guy.
Carry the one.
Yeah,
that meteorology math coming through, baby. Yeah, I think it's slower.
I think you're right. Whatever. I've spent way too much time on that.
Ooh, too much time at H&R. Yeah. Michael says, you saying he's doing H&R Block math over there?
If you haven't watched us all year, it's a running gag. But anyway,
he doesn't actually. He doesn't work at H&R Block. He's offended by it. All right. Hey, let's. All right. Where are we? Oh, we got to go around the horn. We got to talk some position by position. Carts, you want to lead us off with a little catcher talk?
Not really. We're just honesty is the best policy, they say. Yeah. So it's a little bit weird because Gossman's the best pitcher on the slate, but Mitch Garver has been the best hitting catcher of late. He homered again last night, so he's just been raking over the last couple of weeks. So if you're a believer in hot streaks, you can certainly play Mitch Garver. He's hitting cleanup. So we've got Garver hitting cleanup and Rutschman leading off, and every other catcher basically hitting 8th or 9th, except for the other Texas guy. But if you're playing a Texas catcher, you just get to Garver. I think I like Rutschman a little bit better, but really, I'm fine punting here. I mean, Vasquez at 2,500 on DK is fine. You've got Higashioka at 3K for the Yankees. I mean, it's not a position where if you're playing the top two pitchers, you gotta save money somewhere, and I just don't think that Rutschman at 5,300 would be like my priority spend. Probably goes without saying you don't have to play a catcher on FanDuel tonight.
Cooking ass says Roth failed math. That's his name. I failed calculus more times than I care to mention, but I did eventually pass it. So that's stick to it.
Well, calculus is, I mean, like saying you failed math would be like if you know the
remedial
comedian
math.
Nate Bargatze, he's like, I went to college, I had a class called math. Like that's the book said math.
Yes. That guy's hilarious. That guy is really, really funny.
Love it.
All right, I have to defend my math in the chat. In the meantime, Cheese, I want your catcher thoughts and your first base thoughts while I bring the hammer down on this chat.
All right. Catcher thoughts are, I like the Texas guys. Garver and Heim, really, just because they're good hitters. And other than Rutschman, who's really expensive, you're otherwise just punting with a guy who's not one of his team's 5 best hitters. So that's all I have to say about that. So let's talk about first base. Really, none of these positions are actually exciting. On FanDuel, I do like Santander at first. Alex Kirilloff is the cheap chalk. I think Andrew Vaughn is the kind of direct pivot off of Kirilloff, and he's okay. It is interesting how cheap Vlad is, as always, but man, such a weird thing that happened to the guy that it was supposed to be like him and Ronald Acuna are like the future of baseball, and they've kind of gone opposite directions. So I'm officially not recommending Vlad. I'm just pointing out that he exists and he's cheap. Rhino Hearn is another guy I kind of like. And then on DK, Mikasa Sukasas is probably my top play at the position. Not probably. He is my top play at the position.
Okay. Cards has had a change of heart. He says that his math is correct. My math is wrong. I disagree, but I can't get into it right now. I'm hosting a show. You stand by your math, Cards?
I do.
Your
So
H
Wyoming
block?
is 0.17% of the population, which is 0.0017 times 280 people watching equals 0.49 Wyomings watching. It's got to be right. Carry on.
I mean, that sounds pretty right to me. I got to work it backwards.
That's how projections work.
That's, yeah.
Are
We
just
all-
projecting
Wyoming is-
0.49 Wyomings.
Wyoming's is 0.49% owned tonight.
Yeah. The math is never wrong. Derek Hardy and STL Cards will tell you that. All right, Cards, where are we? We're at first base. And then take me
We're
to
at
second base
first.
from there.
All right, I won't sidetrack the conversation on math anymore, but I like Casas a lot at first tonight. I mean, Kirilloff is fine. This is on DraftKings, of course, where you got the Boston game. So I really like Boston and the Yankees on DraftKings. So my lineups look totally different between the sites tonight. So Casas on DraftKings, FanDuel, I pretty much don't have anybody else to add except the guys that Cheese mentioned. I do think Vlad is interesting as a one-off tonight with, Uvalde being a pretty good pitcher, but probably not going super deep into the game. I certainly think that, you can play Vlad even if you're not playing a lot of Toronto tonight.
I mean, a half a person, Cards, this is wrong. A half a person out of 270 people watching means that a half a person that you're off by like 2 whole decimals.
I don't think I am.
I'm certain. I feel strongly confident. I need to figure out a math equation to show you this. But if there's 0.17. That math is just absolutely outrageous.
Basically Jose Altuve is here, like half a person.
I am hey, we're the same height. Yes, 0.17%. What is that as a decimal?
All right, hang on.
It's 0.0017. And multiply that by the number of people we have watching. 284.
All right, I can't do that. Hang on, I got 92 people hitting me with your same math. I'm working it backwards. You keep going. I'm going to figure out why you're wrong.
But I'm not wrong, so that's how you're not going to figure it out.
This math is outrageous.
How is it wrong?
This is H&R Block math. We're actually kind of coming up on lock, so we do have to keep moving.
Yes. Second base. This has been tremendous content. Because it's all the Minnesota guys at every position, and that's just boring. But Polanco, Julien, there's the 2 guys that are going to be the most popular at second base tonight. If you want to pay up to be different, Davis Schneider is really, really interesting as a guy that it has completely unsustainable stats, but it's one night on a 3/4 game slate. So you can always play Davis Schneider. I like Torres on DraftKings and where that game is available.
Okay. Cheese, second and third base for me. By the way, everyone is in Cards team. Literally, the entire chat is including one guy who says, "I'm an engineer with a master's in computer science. You're wrong. The accountant is right." It's pretty hard to. The resumes are starting to be hard to argue here.
You made me question it the first time, but then I remathed it 2 or 3 times. I'm like, no, it's got to be right.
All right. I'm still
anyway. Jorge Polanco is a good play. And then I think Marcus Semien is a good spend up, and that's all I have to say.
All right, how about third base?
Yeah, third base. Devers on DK is kind of the obvious top play, which makes me. I like third base on DK a lot more because Devers, Royce Lewis, Matt Chapman is back in our lives. Gunnar Henderson, it's dual position, but that's 4 good players. So none of them can be like crazy popular. Give me Devers if salary's not a thing. And then on FanDuel, where we don't have Devers, but Lewis is kind of expensive. I kind of like the Polanco at third with Julian at second. Or even Willie Castro, who you can also play at short. Like there's a lot of ways to make all of them work together. That's it.
Okay. All right. Third base and shortstop Cards.
All right. So third base, it's basically those same guys. I mean, Moncada is probably the guy I'm not on tonight, just because he's garnering quite a bit of ownership, and I don't really think I need the savings there. If I'm going cheap on FanDuel, I'd probably just play Chapman. And on DraftKings, it's just not a conversation because I'm trying to get up to Devers over there. Certainly fine with playing Gunnar Henderson and Royce Lewis on FanDuel, and both of those guys can go at either of these 2 positions, third base or shortstop. You could throw Willie Castro in that mix, who is third base and shortstop and outfield on FanDuel. Basically, the Minnesota guys are pretty much interchangeable there. You've got Yandy Diaz at third on FanDuel as well. Interesting play if you're not on Bradish in some GPP lineups. And I saw somebody ask earlier, like, at what type of slate would you be willing to play a hitter against your pitcher? I certainly think this is one of them that you can do that. Probably wouldn't do more than 1 on DraftKings with the extra game, but maybe you could do a couple on FanDuel with only 3 games. So that just people tend to ask that question on shorter slates.
Gotcha. All right. Did you go through shortstop or no? You still got short to get to?
Basically, all those guys I mentioned, Castro, Royce Lewis, Gunnar Henderson, they're also shortstop on FanDuel. Throw Bo Bichette in that mix as well. You can always play Corey Seager, under-owned Corey Seager tonight against the best pitcher on the slate. So he's always interesting for GPPs. Volpe is probably my favorite on DraftKings. And then you've got Rafaela leading off for Boston, who is shortstop eligible as well.
Okay, very good. That brings us to Cheese. You get to do shortstop and then outfield, please.
Yeah, Gunnar Henderson, Corey Seager. Ta-da. And on FanDuel, the Twins. So in the outfield, Max Kepler is heavy chalk. And while it's good chalk, I don't like this is one of those spots where I think just stack the Twins without Kepler, and then you don't really have to worry about it. Sure, he's kind of slightly the best play on the Twins, but they're all really close to the same guy. So I'm just as happy playing Matt Wallner, Willie Castro, and leaving Kepler off of a stack, but using Kepler as a one-off in your stranger lineups. My favorite individual play on the slate on FanDuel is Lewis Robert, and on DK it's Aaron Judge. And then everything else is just goofing around.
Okay. Hit cards. Your math is right. After finally taking a minute, yeah, I agree with you, sir. I apologize. I should have not questioned the high-level accounting firm math.
What's awesome, though, is for just a second, you just disagreed, and you were both like, yeah, that's not right.
Yeah. No, you were correct.
You got me for a second, but I had to double check it. So,
it seemed outrageous. It just seemed outrageous that there could be, on average, a half a person from Wyoming watching. It feels like that should not be the case at all, but yeah, you're right. All right, what are we doing in the outfield cards?
This video is going to be forbidden in the state of Wyoming. They're going to take it. They're going to take it down, take our YouTube rights and all that stuff. Yeah, so I like what Cheese mentioned as with Judge as a favorite individual bat on DraftKings, and then Robert on FanDuel. Like those calls, especially Robert against Maeda, who's going to carry some ownership. So Kepler is probably your first click in cash games. Again, I like Rafaela on DraftKings, but you can play him at shortstop as well. Wallner is a cheaper guy for the Twins. I don't mind using Austin Hayes, Santander, George Springer, like kind of those mid-range guys that might get a little bit forgotten about with people paying up for, Judge or Robert. So a lot of those other kind of low to mid 3K guys and the 4,500 to 5K guys on DraftKings, I think are really interesting for tournaments. You could throw somebody like Eloy Jimenez into that mix as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we've covered everything, and we've left about 8 minutes or so.
Perfect. Wonderful. Let's get some home run picks. Cards, I'm going to put you on the spot. You're not H&R bombs of the night here. What do you got?
Yeah, so I'm kind of zeroing in on that Red Sox-Yankees game tonight. I do like Tristan Casas, who is about plus 500 to 550, depending on where you look. I think Devers odds are a lot higher than I expected tonight as well. So, yeah, Casas and Devers from Boston would be my favorite two picks tonight. As well as some of those lefty power bats from the Twins. I think, Wallner would probably be my favorite just for a home run.
Okay. Cheese, you got a couple names for me?
Lewis Robert and Aaron Judge. But to be a little sneakier, Kevin Biggio.
Okay. Excellent. We'll see if we've got some questions here that are not pertaining to my shitty math. Preferably baseball questions would be preferred. But we'll take football questions. We'll take food questions. We'll take whatever we can get here until we get to lock. In the meantime, I'm jumping in the old crunch time here. DKGPP Cheese, is Savali tough enough on southpaws to use against the 7 Oriole lefties? And then he says, I've clearly sold myself already.
Yeah, I mean, he's the number 4 pitcher on the slate, and he is probably a better pitcher than the guy ahead of him, which is Maeda. I don't think it's bad at all. Like, personally, no, I favor the Orioles bats, but I would not be even moderately surprised with a quality start from Savali.
Okay. Luke Cage says we need the cage match that was going to happen at the end of the season, Cardi versus Cheese, now has our undercard. It's going to be Cards versus Roth as the undercard to your cage match.
Just sitting on opposite sides with a clipboard and a calculator.
I will lose that one really, really badly. All right, what else do we got here? DK Cash, Cards, who is the Minnesota player to never fade since they'll beat you at 80% ownership if they hit?
Say that again.
Who is the Minnesota player that you shouldn't fade because they'll beat you at 80% ownership if they hit? This is a cash question, clearly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I struggled to put that together for a second. I mean, I think you have to play Kepler in cash games tonight, and Polanco isn't probably at that level simply because he probably doesn't have the same ceiling as Kepler, although he's got a higher ceiling projection in our projections. But yeah, I mean, Kepler would be the one guy I think you probably have to play in cash tonight.
Okay. Let's see what else we got here. Anything in the RotoGrinders chat? Not really. Just some math questions here. How many players, Cheese, is too many players to play against your own pitcher? Is 2 too many?
Not on this slate. Not at all, no.
Okay.
I would almost go out of my way to have at least one in some lineups, and kind of go out of my way to have at least 2 in a couple lineups if you're multi-entering.
Very good. All right. Eric says, Cheese, am I stupid? Can I run a Tampa Bay 3-man tonight?
Oh, yeah, of course.
I feel like you could literally do anything on this.
Yeah,
slate. Like,
when the slate gets this small,
legitimately.
there literally is nothing that's crazy on a slate this small.
The only stupid thing is playing the obvious thing that's going to get duped a bajillion times.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, honestly, you could play Jose Urena and Clark Schmidt and leave $7,000 salary, and you're not being stupid. Like, when the slate gets this small, do it all.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, that's it. When the slate gets small, do it all. The Cheese phrase. Oh, the dance too. Daryl says, FanDuel GPP Cards, contrarian stack not named Minnesota or Baltimore. Well, those are, I wouldn't call those contrarian, right?
You're taking away 30% of the field. Yeah, it's probably Toronto or the White Sox.
Okay. Michael says, just don't play Colorado or San Francisco. That's a good point. That would be dumb at this point. That game, in case you missed it, is postponed.
I mean, there is going to be, there's only 5 games tonight. So there are going to be some people that made lineups 3 hours ago and they're getting ready for football, and they're going to, there's going to be a few dead lineups out there tonight.
That's true. That's true. Let's see. John says, the only dumb move is playing the slate. We disagree. Our wonderful sponsor, FanDuel, thinks you should absolutely play the slate, max it out. Cards, Julian Lewis, Abreu. Is this 3 people? Julian Lewis, Abreu, DK Cash, or Polanco, Devers, Florial.
Give me the first ones one more time.
Julian Lewis, Abreu.
I would play the second one.
Okay, great. Cheese, Polanco and Julian both play second base only. Neither of them are must plays in cash, right?
So we're talking DK then. Polanco is pretty close. I mean, no, not must, but I would play Polanco in cash personally.
Yeah. Okay, great. Coming up quickly. In fact, we just hit the lock, which is a good time to tell you we are locked and loaded for NFL content over at RotoGrinders. Let us handle the legwork. You can work less, win more this NFL season. You can get access to everything we have to offer, a special discounted rate only available to those of you without a RotoGrinders subscription. You're already messing up because you should have one of those But you can make up for it. You can get a full season sub, $50 off, limited time price of $375. The sale will end. I believe it ends this week. So make sure you are getting in on that. There you go. Ends tonight. It ends tonight. So get in on that deal.
Question on that graphic for the special, is that an actual football player?
Let's
Or
bring
is
it
that
back up.
Yeah, I'm curious. I've always been curious. Always for 30 seconds.
No,
It's
that's
number
just-
32.
Right.
No, that's just generic
That's my
dude,
thing.
right?
Like,
No,
how
that's
did
it.
we pick? Like, is that
Kitchen.
computer generated then?
I
What's
don't know.
happening?
Kitchen did it. Our
That's
graphics guy.
just it's AI generated.
Yeah.
Well, I'm rooting for. Like, I want that guy on my team for sure.
Right. If we could draft that guy, I'd take him. He looks fit, looks ready. Daryl pointing out Locke is actually at 707.
You got another minute to debate the population of Wyoming. If you
Them Canadians are still singing, eh? Up there.
Yeah, they're still
what they do.
singing. Oh, Canada. Better team for single entry. I'll let you both answer. Which colored socks do you prefer, white or red?
Red.
I am on the Red Sox tonight as well.
Terry Cole says, my instinct cheese is to play Lau over Casas and my cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. By the way, you called Lock 2 minutes early. Yeah, I know. I did. You're right. Is it crazy playing Lau or Low? I don't know which one. Over Casas, is he cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs?
No, I mean they're so incredibly close. I mean, I prefer Casas, but wildly close. You're definitely not cuckoo.
And if it's your instinct, like if you just have that gut, you gotta go with your gut, right? You gotta trust the gut. Trust your gut.
And by the way, that's a low, not allow. First base. Come on.
There's like 7 of them, and I didn't even get a first name to try to help me.
I know. That made that tough on you. I would have been
Yeah.
impressed if you just accidentally picked the right kind of.
Yeah.
And they're both like
never happens.
2 of them are on the slate. Actually 3 of them are on the slate. Two lows and allow. On a
They're the
3-game
worst.
slate. It's wild.
They're the worst. I despise their entire families. Oh, I don't even know if they're related. I don't know.
They probably have a pretty serious feud going on. Honestly.
Yeah, who would think?
2 of them are brothers. Then
Two
the
are
one that
brothers.
is pronounced differently is not.
Yeah,
Obviously.
but like then you would think it's like the 2 that are brothers should be on the same team. Like it's so messed up.
Impossible. It's impossible. Can't stand it. All right. Hey, with that, we have finally hit the lock. I'm not calling it premature this time. We really did it. Good job. And with that, I think we can get on out of here. So for Cheese, for Cards, and his fantastic math. Guys, we appreciate you. We love it. For our awesome production crew, always working hard behind the scene, we appreciate you. We love you. We will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.